exiled with Serum Powder, and I think 3 Eternal Scourges already available to be cast from exile.
So what we're talking about, I mean, this is super, super weird. If you're new at Magic, I mean, welcome, by all means, welcome, but this is a baptism of fire because both of these decks are super weird. Let's try to get across the Red Eldrazi list here. With the recent change to the Mulligan rule, players are not incentivized to Mulligan, but it's less of a blow. And that means that a card like Serum Powder, which interacts with Mulligans, and a card like Eternal Scourge, which you can play from exile, all of a sudden you get a little bit more equity when mulliganing with these cards. So Mark Jacobson, he's only got 5 cards in hand, but those Eternal Scourges, which can be cast from exile, super weird card, are basically also in his hand.
Effectively in his hand for all intents and purposes. And then, of course, something that synergizes extremely well with that is if you have Eldrazi Temple to cast them cheaper. Also, we have to say that the Red Eldrazi deck is not just an Eldrazi deck. It can have these powerful starts, but it also has all kinds of lock pieces. Chalice of the Void on turn 1 is a very popular play when you are the Red Eldrazi player. However, against Dredge, you have the other oddball deck of the format.
It's
almost
so weird.
We're
my goodness.
playing 2 decks that are so all-inish, and I have the feeling that Dredge is probably favored here because Dredge doesn't care about Chalice of the Void.
Imagine if you've just never seen Modern before, and you're coming to this like, okay, I'm going to see some creatures, attacking, blocking, use some removal spells, and there's Dredge versus Red Eldrazi. Like, what is going on here? So what's happening here? Chih-Cheng is using the Dredge mechanic here. Instead of drawing cards, milling over his own library to put lots of cards in his graveyard. And then here's the payoff cards. It's simple enough. Bloodghast comes back from the bin. Life from the Loam returns lands from the graveyard. Faithless Looting can be cast from the graveyard here. So it's a graveyard-reliant deck. And the payoffs can be huge in the sense that they are overwhelming.
And we should explain to the viewers why the Dredge deck is occupying 2/3 of the table here. That's because it's creatures in front of lands, in front of graveyard, in front of hand.
Yes.
And because the Dredge player's hand is most of the time known anyway, Ye is actually playing with all of his cards revealed at the moment.
Now, Jacobson, with this double Eldrazi Temple draw, is able to cast a 4-drop on turn 2, and it is no slouch either. Look at this one here. Thought Not See. A TKS is also going to mean that Eldrazi Mimic slams in for 4 and strip a card from the hand of Ye Chih-Cheng. Not the biggest penalty to pay when you're playing Dredge, it has to be said, because, of course, we're going to see here is much more interested in filling up his graveyard as he does now. Oh, and a Crippling Chill is a nice hit.
That Dredge was huge because there was not a Dredge card found by dredging Life from the Loam. So flashing back Faithless Looting is not as backbreaking as it could have been. So
now, triple Faithless Looting in the bin, which is nice. Narcomoeba in hand, which certainly isn't, and a Bloodghast as well. We don't often see the Dredge deck put creatures into play from its hand, but hey, it's possible.
Yeah, it'll most likely be a card that is getting discarded with the flashback of Faithless Looting. Something that's probably the most counterintuitive about Dredge is that you almost never want to take a regular draw step. You always want to dredge a card, if possible, because it's just more powerful to get multiple cards into your graveyard rather than a random card from your deck into your hand. I mean, just look at the Chill, look at Conflagrate, look at Bloodghast, Price Amalgam. The whole deck is built around that synergy.
Let's talk a little bit more about Red Eldrazi, very much the spiritual successor to a deck of, well, a cursed time in Magic's history. Eldrazi Winter, Simon, I'm sure you remember it well. After Oath of the Gatewatch brought us a number of very powerful Eldrazi, for example, the Thought Not See you see on the screen there, the Reality Smasher that's hiding out in Jacobson's hand, combined with Eye of Ugin and Eldrazi Temple, we had a situation where Eldrazi decks were running rampant over the modern field. That, thankfully, has dwindled to the point of obscurity with the banning of Eye of Ugin, but this very much is in the same mold as those decks, Simon.
It's in the spirit. It's definitely not on the same power level, even with all the changes to the Mulligan rule or open deck list. It's not comparable to when Eye of Ugin was still legal.
So here we have now Faithless Looting, discarding Life from the Loam and Prized Amalgam. So that's a nice one here for Ye. He'll be happy enough to be stocking out that graveyard reasonably well. And Jacobson, on the other hand, we are going to try to even. This is a very aggressive permanent placement here from Ye Chih-Cheng. Going to calm things down a little bit, put that graveyard in a more orthodox position.
For fairness sake.
And now, look at this.
Ooh.
Some realities are about to be smashed. That means that the Eldrazi Mimic as well goes up to a 5/5 for this turn. So that's a huge attack for 14 here. That's going to really knock Chih-Cheng down a peg or two. He's on 19 life. He's buffered his life total a little bit with a couple of creeping chills, but he's going to need to find a way to answer these Eldrazi. Of course, the Eldrazi Mimic back to a 2-1 now, but that Reality Smasher is going nowhere fast.
Yeah, and he still hasn't had a chance to find that 5-point Dredger in Stinkweed Imp. He also doesn't have Jacobson on 10 or lower, so the Bloodgast don't have haste, no conflict rate. His draw hasn't really worked out that well.
Oh, it's been a bit of a stinker for him here. It hasn't gone, certainly hasn't gone to plan here for Ye. Jacobson, however, sitting pretty. All permanents tapped, very much at ease here. His chin resting on his hand. Having a great time in the feature match area. 10-2. Wow, he's really defended his record superbly with this off-the-wall list. When we went into this tournament, we talked about the London Mulligan. We talked about the fact that it may have had an impact as we see Dark Blast take out that Eldrazi Mimic. And I think nowhere more have we seen it than in a deck like Red Eldrazi. We've seen it augment and buff a few decks like Tron and maybe nerf a few decks like Burn. But this is the only archetype that really springs to mind in terms of trying to abuse this change in rules.
Yeah, if you've always loved mulliganing, then this is certainly the deck for you.
If you enjoyed, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy mulliganing, why not try Mark Jacobson's Red Eldrazi list? The list is available, of course, Cardboard Live app. Click on that little button there, you'll see it in all its glory. But for now, that's it. We're going to go to game number 2. Mark Jacobson picks up a handy game 1 win after a weaker draw from Chih-Cheng. We're going to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. On the other side of this, we'll be back with more live Modern Magic from Mythic Championship 2 here in London. In Chih-Cheng and Mark Jacobson. We saw Red Eldrazi going up against Dredge. The Eldrazi deck had all the tricks after a mulligan to, I don't know, minus 14 or something, and a Leyline of the Void to kick things off here on turn 0. So plenty of pre-game actions here for Mark Jacobson, but Nature's Claim for Ye. That's a great start for him.
The ley lines being known makes it that much easier for the Dredge player to just board in those Nature's Claims. Of course, there could be the theoretical mind game of only having one black leyline in your sideboard, but if we're being honest, if you want to play Leyline of the Void, you're probably playing 4 of them because it's just too important not to have it.
And Ye did have the answer to it on turn 1, so he won't be too troubled by that enchantment. We'll see how things go moving forward. You can see Jacobson took at least one Serum Powder mulligan there with an Eternal Scourge in exile available for him to cast. And let's have a look at what he's working with in his hand here. It doesn't look too bad, to be honest. Although he's going to need to find some extra lands here. Chalice of the Void, an interesting post-board inclusion. I don't know what 1-drops he's really worried about, just maybe Faithless Looting.
What is this hand?
A lot of action in it, but it's not doing a huge amount right now.
You have 6 uncastable cards.
Okay, well, and I'm trying to look for the glass half empty, or the glass half full here, but I think we're into well and truly glass quarter full. Yeah.
Okay, maybe the idea was the following. You have a black leyline, so you keep, and you're only 1 land away from a Chalice on 1, whose only purpose can be to stop Nature's Claim.
Okay, all right.
So the game plan was, drop my leyline, opponent doesn't have Nature's Claim, Chalice, opponent finds Nature's Claim, you win.
And so Chih-Cheng has just completely gone off script here.
The plan somehow didn't work out, yeah. Step 1 was okay, you got the lane line.
Yeah.
But then, of course, and as we know, Dredge is playing basically with their opening hand. So it was a bit optimistic to hope for that Chalice.
Yes, that plan, yeah. The best laid plans of Marks and Men, af Gang Agley. And this one certainly has Gang Agley, because this is not exactly what Jacobson was thinking, I'm sure, when he looked at that opener. And with a nice couple of Dredge hits here, you can see Bloodghast's coming back. Prized Amalgam also going to enter the stage. Life from the Loam hanging out in there. We've got plenty of cards in hand to discard to things like Faithless Looting, should that ever come up, with Stinkweed Imp and what have you. Things looking pretty good here for Ye.
I really like how Ye is composing himself, just managing this amount of cards really beautifully. You could even see him count the number of cards in his hand, despite 4 or 5 of them being open-faced on the table. He was very aware of the discard step and seems really on top of everything.
Looks like it is a Chalice of the Void on 1. Coming better late than never, I suppose, here for Jacobson. But a Dredge now of 5 cards, thanks to Stinkweed Imp sees, that was a little weaker there. Nothing too exciting hitting the bin this time around, Simon.
Yeah, just a Bloodghast that is potentially coming back. Maybe some interesting lands to get with Life from the Loam. I believe it's a Ghost Quarter there.
Yep, can see a Ghost Quarter coming back along with what looks like a couple of fetches, Scalding Tarn and Wooded Foothills, of course. And this is a pretty orthodox demonstration of what the Dredge deck is about. The creatures it's bringing back, 2/1s and 3/3s and 1/1 flyers, aren't particularly impressive. But the fact is, Simon, you're looking pretty silly if you wanted to leverage general normal removal against Dredge, because you kill their 2/1, it just comes back. You kill their 3/3, it just comes back.
Can we get a basic land count on Red Eldrazi?
How many basic lands are there in Red Eldrazi? I'll give you the number. You give me the over/under. 2.5.
Over.
You take the over?
Wastes are basic, so I already see 3.
Oh, that's true. Okay, all right. Well, I made a fool of myself there. Yes, indeed. All right, so we got 3 mountains, 3 wastes in the deck of Mark Jacobson. So he's able to go up and fetch another basic mountain.
So that Ghost Quarter was not really.
Man, I just got a savage there.
It wasn't even intentional, but I took the.
Oh no, Simon, you've got to take the shots where you can get them, my friend. You've got. You know that I would not extend any courtesy to you in that regard. So I'm very well used to it. I mean, my best friends are Toffel and Yamin. For goodness'
we
sake,
play hard.
I'm very used
hard.
to it. I'm very used to it, my friends. So Jacobson now, with a hand that still looks a little bit like a foot, as you can see. Double Eldrazi Mimic, Eldrazi Aggressor, Reality Smasher, Anger of the Gods, and a Chalice of the Void here. Chih-Cheng, his hand, well, mostly irrelevant, to be honest. It's all about what's in the graveyard there for the Dredge player. Jacobson not able to do anything other than just play a little goblin Pikerino there. And now in come the clowns.
And we do have a Conflagrate in the graveyard now.
And that's the big finish, right?
Yeah, that's an insane combo with Life from the Loam.
That's the big fiery finish. Well, no, it's not the fiery finish, because fiery finish is the fiery finish. But it's the big Conflagrate.
So 3 cards hidden in hand, 5 cards known in hand. Now you see Life from the Loam get an additional 2.
Mm-hmm. And that's what typically powers up the big Conflagrates here. Looks like, really in the driver's seat with another Ghost Quarter here. He's on the old Crucible Wasteland lock.
Except that he's going to win before running Jacobson out of mountains.
But you know what, Simon? There's so much more than just putting 2 numbers on a match slip and signing it. There's also the moral victory. We don't have a match slip for the moral victory just yet, Simon. But I believe in one day, we'll have fully accredited flavor judges. We'll have victories that transcend game scores and go on.
I see a career for you.
As a flavor judge?
As a moral victory judge.
Well, thank you very much. Moral victory judge indeed. I'd be very qualified on that topic here. Jacobson, however,
Anger of the Gods,
is going to clear the way, and that's actually an excellent way to do it. That's a really, really good way to do it here, because all those creatures, they ain't come back again. They ain't come back no more.
So, Riley, little rules question.
Okay.
Casting cost of Conflagrate when flashbacked from the graveyard.
The converted mana cost?
Converted mana cost for Chalice purposes. Is it 1?
It's
is
1.
It 2? Is it 1 plus X plus X? Is Chalice of the Void going to stop Conflagrate?
It's a positive whole integer?
No, the thing is...
Is it 1?
It doesn't matter what you paid for it. It only matters what's in the top right corner. So it's always going to be... If X is 10, it's going to be 21. So you can basically always kill your opponents with Conflagrate.
Right, it just gets through anything. Okay, all right. I mean, I didn't know that. My expertise as a judge certainly isn't with rules, it's more with flavour. So I would have been, if he had tried to equip a sort of Fire and Ice to his, to his Squadron Hawk, I'd be like, give that man a warning. Resource there, but that is the way that it goes between those two plays. Game number 3 coming up between them as well, before too much longer. But right now, it's the game 3 between, oh my goodness, Mark Jacobson and Chih-Cheng. He says, you destroyed my ley line last time. It's not happening this time, my friends. He's got 3 of a kind, slams them into play, and Chih-Cheng immediately on the back foot, Simon.
And Ye knew he was in trouble when Mark Jacobson, for the first time in this tournament, didn't take a mulligan.
Jacobson's looked at his 7, he's like, yeah, I'm good. And Chih-Cheng's like, dude, isn't your deck like built to mulligan every time?
What's wrong?
Like, what's going on? Have you forgot? Did you misclick? What's happening here? 3 Leyline of the Void, and Chih-Cheng has gone from playing one of the weirdest decks in Modern to what equates to... If this were a draft deck, it would be an absolute train wreck.
Yeah, but this time it's intentional.
It's all right. I'll just take all these off-color rares. That's fine. A 3-mana 3/3 in blue and black. That'll pair perfectly with my Life from the Loam and my Faithless Looting. So Chih-Cheng, I tell you what, he's got his work cut out for him here. And then Mark Jacobson has followed up that mighty play of triple Leyline with a 2-1.
You know what the worst part is? Ye thought he had things under control with his Nature's Claim.
Yeah. Let's have a look at that hand, and you can see right there it is.
And now it's not even, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth to destroy one of them.
It's like a couple of kids at preschool having a fight in the sandpit. Look at them. They're like just playing 2-1s and 1-2s. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mythic Championship, the biggest stage in competitive Magic. And we're playing with flying 1-1s and, lowly 2-1s.
And Jay is preparing beautifully for this stage of the game. The next few turns are going to see hardcast price amalgams.
Yeah.
Narcomoeba, and if he top decks a Stinkreed Imp, he's even going to have a blocker for reality.
So again, we are seeing this train wreck of a draft deck come together here for Chih-Cheng. He's just playing good, fair, honest Magic.
Yep. He's
He's looked at Mark James and said, all right, knock out my graveyard. You know what? Don't want it. I didn't even want it there. It's fine. I'll beat you down with this little Centaur Corsair here. That is okay. But I think Jacobson's going to have another thing or two to say about it in his hand. Double Eternal Scourge, Eldrazi Obligator as well. So he does have the talk to back up the walk. But he's looking for big cards. He's looking for his Reality Smashers. He's looking for his Thought-Knot Seers.
And he has the mana to cast Thought-Knot Seer already, missing a single source for a Reality Smasher. And those are the cards that would really close out the game quickly, especially with those Mimics.
So here's an Eternal Scourge, and that means that our lowly little Eldrazi Piker is going to get in now for 3, taking the form of the Eternal Scourge. An Eternal Scourge, super, super weird card. If you haven't seen it before, it can be played from exile, so it's a 3/3 that is very, very difficult to remove indeed. And you can see a little smile playing around on the face of Chih-Cheng. He's like, okay, all right, I see what this card is all about here.
So it's actually a downside that Leyline of the Void only exiles your opponent's graveyard.
Yeah, you'd actually rather exile your own one, so you can always cast your Eternal Scourge.
You see some of these Eldrazi decks that have the Scourge that also play in the main deck even Relic of Progenitus. So that way you can actually exile it in multiple ways.
Well, it might be enough to get it done here, as it's the biggest thumper on the battlefield, tied for equal, I guess, with that prized amalgam. Now, Chih-Cheng is going to be able to deploy another 3/3 here, but ultimately I think in the long game it's not too much of an RKBC to say that Jacobson is heavily, heavily favoured.
Absolutely, and he has been since turn 0, actually. So, just thinking about how this game can progress, Ye has to find a game plan that, even if the percentage is very low, gives him a window of opportunity to win.
Let's talk about what that looks like, Simon. It looks like playing to the board. It looks like playing out these creatures, making smart attacks, smart blocks, and then I think Conflagrate and Lightning Axe come into it. Yeah,
Conflagrate is a lot weaker because it really unfolds its power from the graveyard. But Lightning Axe is huge. Being able to get rid of an Eternal Scourge, right now there's no way for... Oh no, that would actually be the target of a spell or ability. I was thinking that Dredge doesn't have many ways to target it. But ultimately, their 3/3 is still very handleable.
Yes.
What you don't want to see is 4/4s and 5/5s.
But that Lightning Axe is going to be an important answer here for Chih-Cheng, as the Eternal Scourge just straight up blocks, straight up trades with an opposing 3/3 here.
Yeah, that's understandable because it wouldn't have had a good attack either. It would have just been traded.
What a format, Simon. I tell you what, I woke up this morning not expecting to see Dredge playing honest creatures against a deck that is built to mulligan and doesn't.
Yep.
Just rips the perfect 7. Like, yeah, easy. I don't need a serum powder. Just cut it. Put it straight in my sideboard. I'm just going to rip perfect 7 every time, says Mark Jacobson.
You think he just replaced Serum Powder with Leyline?
That's the next. That's the level that Mark Jacobson's on.
I actually heard people talking before the tournament saying that you could just put Leyline of the Void into your Dredge deck in the main deck, because it's not a deck that relies on cards in hand, and you know what you're playing against. So if it's a graveyard deck, you just keep it, and it's going to be great.
And Eldrazi Obligator now going to steal the 3/3 from Chih-Cheng, get in for a bunch of damage here. That's a big attack for 9. Chih-Cheng down to 4. He's got one draw step, really, to try to put himself back in this game. And it's a creature that can't block, ladies and gentlemen. So it's not going to do him too much good. It's also a creature he can't cast, even with his perfect mana base.
The dredge mana is not really designed to cast your creatures. Actually, including the blue source is already quite a prize.
Yep. But we're going to see a Stinkweed Imp. Well, that, with a weird form of Death Touch, is at least something of an answer to one of these creatures. But Jacobson can continue to pile on the pressure. He's got another Eternal Scourge in hand. He's got one in the graveyard. That one's not coming back just yet. Jacobs is going to have a quick pause to have a think about things. He's drawn a Chalice of the Void off the top. Now, that card's not doing a lot here. He doesn't need an insurance policy on those Leyline of the Void. So it's going to be Eternal Scourge instead, cast off that Eldrazi Temple. But Wawa-Weewa, what a game of Magic, Simon. Not something you see every day, even in this Wild West format that is modern.
We have seen and commentated on a lot of games of Magic, and this is definitely something special.
This is one of the weirdest games I think of. You know, as I say, we're in the Wild West, and these boys are the rootinest, tootinest out on the frontier, I would say. These two decks, I mean, they're weird in their own right, and then I think we get a weirdest multiplier when they come up against each other.
And the best part is, they both do this to their opponents constantly.
Yeah.
Right? They just dump their hand on turn 1, and so neither of them is going to be too bitter about it. It's what they signed up for.
You can't exactly say, oh, well, you know, he's playing so unfair. He's playing all these cards that don't make sense. He's breaking the fundamental rules of Magic. It's like, yeah, dude, so are you, man. Settle down. What do you want? Eldrazi Mimic is taken down by this Stinkweed Imperino there, and now a Chalice of the Void for 1.
Yeah, that'll probably prompt a response. Lightning Axe on Eldrazi Obligator is not a great play, but it is something that potentially alleviates the pressure.
It's a play. I mean, it's a play.
It's a legal play.
It's a legal play in the card game Magic the Gathering.
It's definitely better now than later. Oh, so, second Black Source.
Second Black Source. We can bring in the 2/1 with downside now. In comes the Narcomoeba for a clean 1 damage in the air, but no dice for Chih-Cheng, who does not play his Bloodghast out. It's not going to do too much good for him. Jacobson on a healthy 13, gets in with the Eternal Scourge. That's going to trade with the opposing prized amalgam. But Simon, Ramunap Ruins.
This is like in Standard.
I'm having flashbacks to Pro Tour Hour of Devastation. It's mid-2017, ladies and gentlemen. We're going back to the hallowed days, the glory days. All praise our Lord and Saviour.
A red source wins. A what?
Whoa. Wastes does not.
I think Jacobson was just,
Okay. Oh, look at this. Fancy play syndrome at its finest. We've got a Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter, the own land. Go and fetch out a basic mountain. Tap it for double red and get you dead, says Market. Jacobson improving to 11-2 with one of the weirdest decks in the entire history of the game. Red Eldrazi taking the advantage of this new Mulligan rule. And, I mean, by jingo, by crikey, Simon,